Hello, everybody. Our next presentation will be an update on the STAX project, which you might recall stands for the Source Term Analysis of Xenon. You've heard about it at past WOSMIP meetings, and we're happy to have Judah Friese give us a briefing on where we stand on that project for now. Okay, go ahead, Judah.
All right, thank you, Ted. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the office in my house in these strange times. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the STAX project. Like Ted mentioned, we have presented on this at the last WOSMIP, and we've had another year of working on this project. So I'm going to give an update of where we are, what we've learned, and what we have left to do so far. So, term analysis of Xenon, STAX, a project that is mostly focused on the understanding the backgrounds that are getting into the environment from sources from around the world. Right now, we are mostly worried about or focused on the emissions that are coming from medical isotope production facilities. So what we're working on this project is working with medical isotope production facilities around the world to understand the emissions that they have and how that affects the international monitoring system. So if you can see my slide that I have up, the concept behind the project is relatively simple. I'm just going to go through it real quick. We have a source that's releasing radio xenon to the environment. The radio xenon transports through the environment and is measured by the International Monitoring System. What we're trying to do is just set up detector systems at the source to measure exactly what is being released in real time. And then the data is sent to a central repository for the data to be used at a future point to understand the detections that are in the international monitoring system. This is a concept that came out of WOSMIP, and we have developed it to the point of we currently have 2 detector systems deployed throughout the world. So that right now, the picture on the left bottom is a detector system that is in Australia at ANSTO, operating. And the picture on the right is a detector system that is in IRE in Belgium that is currently operating. So these are Miriam systems or Canberra systems that are sending real-time data to our central repository. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Since the last WOSMIP, we have actually continued develop 2 additional systems. So we have 2 more systems currently being built. The one on the left here is being built by NVAP in Argentina. It is a modification of their standard STAC monitor that they put in medical isotope production facilities, except it's been modified to for the STAX project. So this is currently being built. It's almost done, but the current world situation is delaying its finish. But we hope to have that up and operating later this year. The one on the right is VF Nuclear. It is another STAX detector system built in the Czech Republic. It is again it's a traditional STAC monitoring system for a nuclear power plant that is being modified for the STAX project. So this is also currently being built in the Czech Republic. So we've got 2 deployed. We have 2 more being built, and we're continuing to work with producers worldwide to have them participate in this project. I do want to point out that it is a voluntary project. The producers are working with us on a voluntary basis, and we're working with not only a lot of worldwide things, but the U.S. is also working to develop medical isotope production facilities in the United States, and we're actively working with them as well to participate in the project. So kind of where detector systems are at the moment. So I just want to give a quick look at the type of data that we see. So what I have here is data from IRE that has Xenon 135 and 133 being released in the month of April. So this is about a year ago. And as you can see, the dynamic range across the various isotopes, it's not constant. There's peaks. And there's multiple peaks of multiple isotopic ratios. This is very typical of what we see. And this is why the kind of real time is advantageous, because using a steady state release is clearly not appropriate. So this is, for example, the type of data that is available. I've only have 2 of the xenon isotopes shown here, but we collect data on all 4 xenon isotopes for data users. So right now, this data flows to a central database, basically, and we're currently working with various national data centers across the world to use this data to understand detections in the IMS. So currently, we have about 5 national data centers that have access to this data, that have IRE has given permission to use the data, and they have access to this data, and they're actively working on figuring out how to use this data into their process to understand xenon detections in the International Data Center. So IRE has the data sharing agreements with these 5 national data centers. ANSTO, we're very close to getting that data available to national data centers as well. So we have the data, it's in real time. It's starting to flow out to the scientific community to understand how to best use this data for use in understanding detections. So that's kind of where we are right now. We have been fairly successful in developing the pathway or the pipeline for data flow. Currently using, for example, 2 different spectral analysis techniques. One is the commercial software provided by the vendor, and the other is we've recently developed a process to use the CTBTO's AutoSaint software to also analyze the spectra, and we're getting very good agreement. So we spend a lot of time looking to make sure data quality is quite good. So that's where we are right now, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them on the update on the STAX.
Thanks, Judah. Great presentation. Could you speak a little bit about the access of the data by people who are interested in participating in the program? Who would they contact in order to do work in this area, and how would they get access to the data?
The data sharing agreements, basically, we have to have data sharing agreements with the individual entities that want access to the data. So the way to do that is to contact myself or Dr. Lori Metz. We will initiate the process. There's a data sharing agreement that just goes over fundamentally that you may use the data for understanding detection of the IMS. It may not be used in any public, like a publication, publicly without the permission of the facility that is providing the data. So IRE, for example, has to review that. So to get access, basically contact myself or Dr. Metz, and we will initiate the process. The institution will go back and forth to develop the data sharing agreement, get permission from IRE, and then we will be able to get you access to the data. So myself and Lori contact us, and we'll get the process started.
Hi, Judah. Can you provide a little bit more information on how the performance of the system and the quality of the data is being monitored?
Yes, this is a big effort that we've been doing this last year. Basically, there's kind of 2 things we look at. We look at the process that we have monitors the state of health of all the detector systems. So we have a variety of parameters that we monitor for the understanding, detector, is a detector cold? Is it operating? What's the flow rate? Making sure all those parameters are constant. So that's one thing we do. The other is looking at the spectral fitting. These are 96 spectra per day per facility. It's a lot of spectra to go through. So the automated tools and techniques we have to be working well. So we spent a fair bit of time looking at a select spectra at high levels, low levels, to make sure that the spectral fitting is doing a good job and returning xenon concentrations that are correct. So those are kind of the 2 main things. We're watching state of health and then looking at the raw data itself and doing manual calculations to be sure that we agree with the automated tools that are reporting xenon concentrations.
Okay, thanks, Judah. For those of you out there who just heard that presentation, feel free to send an email to either Judah or Lori or myself, and we can get that question answered. At some later date, we also might have some kind of a virtual way to do the questions, but that's TBD. If you see links that allow you to ask questions, feel free to do that. Thank you, Judah, and stay tuned for your next presentation.